My name is Hannah Mail. I am a graduate student in my first year at Indiana University, the Bloomington campus, and I am doing a master's program for Egyptology, which is within the Middle Eastern Studies Department of the Hamilton Luber School. Today, I'm going to talk about how Egyptologists date things and how they've sort of figured out or tried to figure out the chronology of pharaonic Egypt, which is a period of a little bit over 3,000 years. Very generally speaking, that term refers to the chunks of time that Egypt was an independent state. So what I'm going to talk about first is kind of the artificial nature of the chronology or chronologies that Egyptologists have kind of come up with. Because the way that the ancient Egyptians dated things and the way that we date things in absolute calendar years are not the same. So if you look at actual ancient Egyptian documents and artifacts, so things like stele, which tend to have dates on them, what the Egyptians did in terms of dating is they first put the name of the ruler who was on the throne and whatever year that person had gotten to, so the regnal year is how Egyptologists refer to it. That was one of the first major parts of the dates. And then they would, instead of assigning an absolute calendar year, the next chunk would basically be what time of year or what part of the agricultural cycle that object or that document was made or written in. So the Egyptians had basically 3 times of the year that focused on the annual flood. So they had the time of the inundation, Ket. They also had the time of basically once the waters receded and the planting took place, so Shemu, and then Per Et, or winter, when they kind of waited for the cycle to restart. So what you'll see in terms of an actual Egyptian date on a lot of objects is year X, so whatever number year that particular ruler had reached, and then that ruler's name in the month of, and then they would give whatever day they'd gotten into, so in the 3rd month, or in the 3rd day, or in the 4th day of the month of Shemu, or Peret, or Ket. And then, so that is the Egyptian way of dating things in terms of when you look at the actual objects and monuments, the format that they used. What Egyptologists have done to basically convert that into our absolute calendar years is using cross references and other documents from other cultures. They've basically tried to plug in the calendar dates into that because the Egyptians had, particularly astronomy-wise, they had some cycles that happened regularly once every, I think it's every 1,000 or 1,000 plus years or so. And so that's one of the things that Egyptologists use to try to plug in those calendar dates. But that is why the further back you go in pharaonic history, the more you see those dates become circa, because there's less and less documents to cross-reference them against. So basically, anything from what Egyptologists call the pre-dynastic to New Kingdom-ish is where you get those circa dates. It's only in the third intermediate and the late period that those dates become firmer, because there's more cultures and there's more cultural mixing in Egypt that those documents can be compared to. The other major thing to know about Egyptian chronology is, because it's so long, Egyptologists have basically come up with modern names for what those chunks of time should be called. So if you look at the broad pattern of pharaonic history from what Egyptologists call the pre-dynastic, so prior to basically the formation of the state, to the late period, you'll see these chunks of time when Egypt was a unified state, and there was one central political ruling authority. In the 19th century, and kind of in the early days of Egyptology, those periods are referred to as empires. Now they're referred to as kingdoms, and there's basically three major ones. So old, middle, and new. So, not that imaginative, but kind of gets the point across. And then there's other chunks of time when that centralized authority breaks down, and there's basically competing families and competing people that are claiming kingly rule. And Egyptologists have termed those intermediate periods. So in summary, if you go to like a random museum and you find an Egyptian stele, and the label, on it from the modern time says, this comes from the Middle Kingdom circa 1275 BCE. If you then go to the actual object, you won't find any of that information on the object. What you'll find on the object is made in the reign of ruler X, in her or his, because there were female rulers of Egypt, regnal year X, in the month of X. And so that is the sort of difference between how the Egyptians dated things and how modern Egyptologists have dated things, and kind of the chronology that they've come up with. And so it's artificial in some ways, but it's such a long time that we kind of need that artificialness. So hopefully this gets you excited about Egypt, and bye!